Hey guys, it is 48 degrees here on January 12th. A lot of you guys in the North Carolina gardening and permaculture group said that we should do some garden tours and see how other people are doing it and living the life. I'm Malcolm Shaft Heath. You guys can call me Shaft. And it's about to be time to do some fake cuttings. Sorry about my hair, it's a mess. It just struck me as a good time to show you guys what I'm doing. So here's what we're looking at here. In my car, I'm loading up a 5-gallon bucket. It's completely empty. I've got a pair of pruning shears here, and I'm going to my fig tree, which is a little distance away, so I'm driving there. And I'll see you there. And we are back at the fig tree. You can kind of see my mom's land behind me. Because yes, this is on my mom's part of the farm, and I'll explain why. Here is the fig tree. It's completely dormant right now, which is the best time to take cuttings from it. This fig tree is 25 years old, and as some of you may know, I am only 30. That means this fig tree was planted when I was 5 years old. It's a little small. Our clay soil, at least in its natural state, makes it kind of hard for fig trees to take off. It's a little too moist for them. But this has got a lot of good growth on it. You can see the thicker branches. You can see plenty of nodes all over this thing. The nodes are going to be like, see right here. It's not in focus. There we go. See, that's a node. About every fig cutting should have about 3 nodes. I'm gonna be going through, snipping these off. So top cuttings, this new growth right here. This is usually the best place to take a cutting from. You can see where some of the new growth is actually starting to come out right here. And yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and nip this in the bud while we can, because this right here is gonna keep on coming. And hopefully we'll get some good fig cuttings out of this and get some cloning going on, and we'll see where it goes. I'll show you the first fig cutting I do. Unfortunately, I don't have a tripod, so I'm just literally standing here holding the camera. I need both hands to cut the fig, so won't be any time lapse or anything like that. All right, we've got the first cutting here. Trying to get a grip on the camera. All right, so this one's a little more than 3 nodes. You can see, well, kind of. Camera's not focusing the best, but there's 1 node, 2 nodes, 3 nodes. Here's a 4th node, but this was like the entire length of the branch before we split off. You can see where I cut it right here. You can also see that there's a little bit of liquid coming out, kinda. You don't want to get that on your skin. It'll burn the hell out of you. Very, very caustic, but it's mostly dormant. This is probably about as dormant as this tree is gonna get. So we'll throw this in the bucket, and there'll be another step after throwing them all in the bucket, but this is the first step to cloning a fig tree. Now, tell you a little bit more about this tree. Like I said earlier, it's 25 years old. It was a cloned tree that was smuggled here from Israel by a minister friend of my parents. That's an interesting story right there in and of itself, but he smuggled it onto the plane through customs. I think this is a variety known as Badia, but I'm not entirely sure of that. They are very delicious honey figs, and just judging from the looks and the color and the area it comes from, they are more than likely some variation on Badia. The one thing that makes it hard to identify fig trees that come from the Middle East is there's so damn many. So that's tough. I know it's a delicious honey fig, and depending on how many of these will take root, I plan on sharing these with anyone in the group who want them, at least as long as I have cuttings to give away. I'll probably take like 6 to 10 of these for myself for the food forest, depending on how many there are, and then just give you guys the rest of them. So let me know in the comments if you'd want one. I just realized there's something I forgot to share with you guys. the way you prune this tree, I just assumed y'all know how to prune it. Remember I pointed, hold on, let's see if we can see it. Yeah, I pointed out these tips here. What you want to do is what's called tip pruning. You find like, see, I took the main tip here, because that was our main little branch. You want to encourage this lateral growth on fig trees. That's really good for fig trees. A lot of times you'll see fig trees that just get really, really long and lanky and tall. I mean, those are fine. You can get more figs and stuff off of them the bigger they get, but this lateral branch will produce more figs per height. So that's what we're trying to do here. Okay, so here's a little bit of before and after. This is kind of cleaned up a little bit from a tree that just had not been very well taken care of, really. And this is what it looked like beforehand. You can see how a lot of these branches are coming over, crossing each other. This is not good for a tree. You do not want branches touching. See, you can see it a lot here. So that's really what I'm coming through cleaning up. And this is my first time ever pruning this tree. So for about 15 or 20 years, this tree has been on its own. And you can see the power of permaculture. This is what we know as a swale. It's a very gentle sloping ditch. Now up there it's way more of a ditch. That's not a gentle slope at all. But here, right here, very shallow, very gentle, and basically this tree needs no water. It can come get it from right over here. It's one of the permaculture principles at work. All right, guys, so you can see there's a lot more room and air flow through this tree. If you kind of imagine what it's going to look like during spring and summer when it starts putting on dense foliage, a little bigger and healthier than that. This is probably the first shoots of spring right here, or it's the last little bit holding on in this not so harsh winter we're having. But pretty much everything is spaced out a lot more until you get down here. There's some things that probably could be weeded, but that's what 25 years of neglect looks like. I do need to go ahead and fix this little crossover here. This is the sort of thing we're looking for, but you can see that's the last one. I left it there for you guys to just kind of get a side-by-side comparison. And how many cuttings you reckon we got from this? Boom! Now this is a numbers game. There's no telling how old some of this wood is, and I'll go ahead and tell you, cuttings come from between the first and third year of wood, so some of this is definitely not going to take, but it'll be great for the compost pile. So we'll see how many of these we get. I'll cut this last one and then show you the next step. While we're on this side of the property, just going to go and show you a leaf pile I put up a couple months ago and have not yet had a chance to come and collect. Plenty of leaves through here. I basically raked everything halfway through the winter or fall, whatever you want to call it, when the leaves are coming down. Make valuable leaf mold with it, that's for sure. Not sure if any of you guys have used leaf mold, but in our clay soils, and that's clay, y'all. You see all this pooling? It rained a little bit. It's been raining a lot of bit, but there's no infiltration in my land. So leaf mold, compost, these are entirely invaluable assets to anyone in our area. I don't know who did this. It won't me. There's my car. That won't me. It looks like it was me. It won't me. But onwards to the next step. This is where I make my own compost. Tarped that because I don't want weed seed getting in it. That's actually the compost finishing up. And over here, remember earlier I was talking about leaf mold? Well, I need to run this through the wood chipper. And I need to get that up, but run that through the wood chipper. And within 6 months to a year, we'll have valuable leaf mold. You can see we're running out of daylight. I'm a little worried about that cloud of moisture coming at me. Over there, off in the distance, you can almost see the fig tree. that we were looking at. Here's our worm composting system. Pull this brick off so you can see inside. Got a really thick layer of bedding on here for them. You can see their food scraps through here. Ooh, good and slimy. Didn't mean to pull into a pocket of actual food. Hold on. Worms usually like to live up in here, but with it being so cold, I imagine they're going to be deeper in if I can find any at all. There's no heating on this element. So, yeah, here's the manure. You can see it's starting to break down into some really good worm castings. No worms on the surface. They usually do like the surface. Oh, there's one right there. There's that little guy. I'm gonna go ahead and cover him back up because they don't like cold weather very much. Just really good to see one as soon as I start looking. And in case you're wondering what kind of mulch that is on top, those are actually cattails. So even if there are seeds in there, I don't have to worry about it really growing in my raised beds. They're drained enough that cattails aren't going to survive. And you can kind of see a little bit of the raised beds. It doesn't look the best right now. I could weed the paths. There's some work to be done, but it's cold. I'm not a cold weather guy. This is where we want to be here. And you can see a huge amount of fill dirt, a little trowel, some Soho cups, and our fig cuttings. Oh, I just lost an earbud. We're gonna pocket that. But basically what we want to do is get a Soho cup like this, left over, you know, from Christmas when you had all the folks over. We had a whole bunch of people this year. Go ahead and fill this up. You could use a trowel, but I've only got two hands and one's holding a camera. Kind of smooth it out. I'll show you that once I pack it down. All right, guys, we found a cameraman. Madison's behind the camera. And also, probably forgot to mention, the cups need drainage. Don't know how many holes that is. Don't really matter, just drainage. Fill it up. If you've got rooting hormone, probably a good time to use it. If not, stick it right in. It's pretty much not rocket science. Not all of these are going to take. More of them would take if I had rooting hormone, but as long as it's dormant, we're pretty much good to go. And that is how you cut some figs. Thanks, guys. And this is what we are left with. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 29 fig trees. My buddy is actually going to take some of them to his greenhouse. He's going to put some rooting hormone on them, and on some of them we'll have it like split half and half, and we'll see where that goes. A little bonus for you guys. This is my newest raised bed. It's a hugelkultur, and it's its first year, so it's a little low on the nitrogen. You can see some of the issues with that, and these plants got started really late. These are Romanesco. Not as cold hardy as I'd like, but these are the two that survived. You can see in my little squares here where some of the other ones did not. These here are shallots, so they die off as expected in these winter months. Same thing here with the garlic, and the Dickekia broccoli is actually doing fairly well. Broccoli is a heavy nitrogen feeder, and like I said, hugelkultur beds, they do tie up a lot of that nitrogen, so this is kind of expected. Over here we've got a newly built bed, cardboard underneath. Also hugelkultur, there's sticks right there. That's a stick. Homemade compost, a little topsoil. I'll need to come along the edges here and clean up the weeds before we plant into this. Right here is actually a bed I'm standing in. Dog has pooped into. I will clean this up before I actually use it. We dug it last spring and tried to just plant directly in here, but my clay soil is a little too hard for that. We ended up having to do mounds, more like you see over here. And then, yeah. So we're gonna put some compost over top of that and do it more like this. Here's my cover crops. They're dying off as expected. I'm just gonna, this is gonna be one of the few beds that I actually till in, and I'll till that in. Most of my garden is no-till. And here's our first hugelkultur. I can always tell it by this line right here. I used to check the drainage because I thought this would improve drainage. It did, but I didn't mulch well enough, and the weeds also got those hugelkultur benefits because these were squash, not heavy feeders at all as far as nitrogen's concerned. And here's the main hugelkultur bed doing a lot better. Green onions here, parsnips, some stinging nettle, and some pennyroyal. Huge bed of carrots. Some daikon radish were over here. I don't actually remember what this is. I think that's arugula. Not 100% sure though. Leeks. I tried to grow these from the store. Not working so well. And then we got some more carrots. These daikon radish were delicious. Parsley. That bed right there was a little later getting planted. So guys, thanks so much for joining me on this tour of Forest of Eden Farms. I'm Shaft, and as you can tell, this was kind of a low budget virtual tour. No tripod, no DSLR, just a camera phone, bad lighting. Yeah, I got a green screen, but I didn't even bother to go get the lights. In other words, what I'm saying is, if you like this type of content, let me know. I can do more of this. I can put more energy into it. Or if you'd rather see more of like real life tours once this COVID situation's over, instead of the virtual thing, we could do that too. Maybe do a little hands-on learning, dig some swales for a member of the community who, you know, want to try some permaculture. Anything like that I think would be awesome for our little gardening family. Because that's really what I think of as that group as, is just locals. Local people working together to make everything better. Hope you guys see it the same way. See ya.